Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is Lap Guide for Circuit to Spa-Francorchamps with the Audi R8 LMS. Let's get this started. For this first turn, you want to start to brake right after you pass the 100-meter mark. This should give you just enough space to be able to hit the apex, and you want to make sure you get your car rotated as quickly as you can so you can get on the throttle very soon. Get ready to do some counter steering. Now, for this part right here, there's a very certain line where you can take it at full throttle, but it's a little difficult, so let me guide you through this. So you'll be taking advantage of this first curb right here, and right after you pass this first curb, that's where you will start to turn. You can use a bit of the curb on the right, and once your car is pointing towards the apex, that's when you get ready to bring your car back to the left. Now that was in slow motion. I'm going to go ahead and replay it at full speed. Now, it's pretty hard to get it right, but if you want to do the safe method, all you have to do is just lift off the throttle when you're turning right over here, just as you see in the clip over here. Now, speeding through the actual clip that we're looking at, you want to start to brake right before the curb on the left starts. You'll brake hard when you're going straight, and the moment you start to turn, you want to start to trail brake. Be very careful on the throttle. Bring yourself to the left, then ease off the throttle right here for this turn, and right when you hit the apex, that's when you can start to fully accelerate. Then, right before the curb on the left starts again, you will start to brake. Be very careful once again, but this time, it's because you're going downhill. Try to stick close to the inside of the turn over here, and very slowly start to accelerate your way through. Then, you will start to brake just a little bit early, and you'll apply a dab of braking to get the car to slide. Once you hit the apex, that's when you can start to fully accelerate. For this turn, you will start to brake after you pass the 50-meter mark. If you want to be a bit more exact, start to brake right before you pass this black sign on the right. Brake hard for a moment, then you'll be trail braking until you hit the apex, and then slowly get on the throttle. You want to make sure you don't hit the AstroTurf on the right, as you'll end up having a very bad day if you do end up hitting it. You can take this turn at full throttle. Then, right before you pass this overhanging sign just up ahead right here, that's where you'll start to brake. Brake hard for a moment, and then you'll be trail braking your way through this turn, and then just very slowly apply the throttle and be very patient with the throttle, as you don't want to hit the AstroTurf on the right. Then look for the curb on the left, as you'll start to brake right before it starts. Brake hard for a moment, then trail brake, and try to get the car to rotate before you apply the throttle. Take advantage of these curves right here, as if you do end up taking advantage of them, it'll be possible for you to take that turn at full throttle. The same can be said for this next turn right here, as this turn can also be taken at full throttle. Then finally, for this double hairpin over here, you want to start to brake right after you pass the 150-meter mark. As you'll see here, I accidentally end up just barely overshooting it. But either way, get the car to rotate as fast as you can so you can get on the throttle as soon as you can. And that is it. Let's go ahead and talk about the strategies. Now, this happens to be a daily C race where the fuel consumption is at ×5 and the tire wear is at ×7. In terms of tire wear, you don't really have to worry about it too much, but the main thing you do have to worry about is the fuel. Now, this is where it gets interesting because it's possible to no stop this race, but at the same time, it's also to do a one stop to refuel and still finish at a very similar time to that of the no stop. Now, as you see here, I'm somehow 17 seconds ahead. I think second and third place were in a pretty intense battle, but as you'll see here, I'm about to enter the pit stop, and as for when to pit if you're going with this strategy, I would say around the end of lap 5 or 6. I mean, you can go as late as lap 7, but personally for me, I wouldn't do it. Now, you're also going to short shift quite a bit just to save a bit more fuel, as you see here. So I was able to bring it down to 16%, refuel, but also take a look at how long the pit time is, which ends up being about 21 seconds. But the thing is that when I entered the pit stop, Second place was about 17 seconds away, and as the time is adjusting, they end up being about 10 seconds behind me now. Now, it's possible to beat a no stopper, but you just need to have a really good pace to pass them and then build a gap that is big enough so that the chances of them catching up to you when you pit is significantly reduced. Now, when it comes to doing a no stop, as you see here, I'm doing it in the Supra, and on some parts I'm actually at fuel map 1, but I'm just short shifting throughout the entire race. We're just going to take a look through how I tackle this lap, and this is what I was doing throughout the entire race. I have heard that it is possible to do a no stop where you're just constantly changing between fuel maps 2 and 3, but I didn't know that when I was doing this race, as this was around the time the race just came out. So as you see here, I'm already slowly bringing the fuel map down to a leaner setting just so I could try to save just a bit more fuel. And this is the thing, because if you're fuel saving for the entire race, you have to be precise, because it is possible to run out of fuel a bit earlier than you know it, because I've already come across some people who run out of fuel before they cross the finish line, and well, it's an embarrassing mistake. So as you see here, through this section over here, I'm just going off fuel map 3, short shifting whenever I can. And one interesting thing to note is that second place happens to be doing the one-stop strategy, so eventually they're going to catch up, hang out right behind me, but at some point they're going to have to pit. Meanwhile for me, all I have to do is just maintain a steady pace, and for the most part I should be fine as long as I don't make any mistakes along the way. Once again, I'm still staying on 3, but I'm getting ready to come to the point where I can bring the fuel map up to 1. So it's right around here, bring the fuel map to 1, but I'm still going to be short shifting as I want to try to save fuel, but at the same time get a bit more power into the car. Now as I get closer and closer to the double hairpin, that's when I bring the fuel map down to a leaner setting. And yeah, usually over here you can get away with it on 4, but if you really want to get a bit paranoid, then you can bring it down to 6. Just make sure when you're done with the last hairpin, that's where you can bring it down to 1 and go ahead and start your new lap. Now as for the total times, you'll see how close they are. With the no stop I was able to get an 18:58, but with the one stop I was able to get an 18:56. So really, you can pick and choose which strategy you want. It's kind of like a case by case scenario depending on what you want to do. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off now. Non-commentary version is coming up. This is Mr. MCA wishing you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.